Alright, today I'm making this video on the screen replacement on an iPad Air. Um, I've got it sitting on my heating table set at 70 degrees Celsius, and it's getting pretty warm. The glue's probably getting ready to go. I'm going to start work on it upside down because the cables are here on the right side and I'm right-handed. I don't want to start where the cables are. I want to be, real careful for those. So I'm going to turn it upside down so that I can be right-handed and open it up this way. In my opinion, using a table like this is much better than using hot air. Heats the whole thing pretty evenly as opposed to having to work an area all the way around. Best to use a plastic spudger. It's easier to cause damage with the metal one. But it's hard to get the plastic one in there. It's easiest to start with metal and then kind of make the switch. That crack right there is going to make it difficult. Let's go back up here. Okay, now I can turn off hot plate. don't want to scratch the LCD, so I want to make sure that there's no glass hanging over before I try to disconnect it. A little bit there. Alright, there's 4 Phillips screws in the corners. Let's get those up so I can get the LCD out. I like to use this business card size magnet. It helps me keep track of the screws. They don't slide around as much, get bumped and stuff. Corners are covered with a tape. Alright, now a lot of the videos that I've seen on YouTube of people doing the iPad Air and a lot of other models, they go straight to disconnecting the LCD and the digitizer cable, and that's not a good idea. Doing that before you disconnect the battery can cause a spike in amperage, which will burn out or can burn out your backlight fuse or backlight filter. And then your LCD would work, but the light behind it won't shine, and so you can't see anything. It's a common error, and unfortunately, almost every video on the internet does not show them disconnect that. It's very important that you do that first. Or you'll either be micro soldering a new diode or filter, or you'll be mailing your unit off to someone who can solder. So really it's a simple thing. You just take that one screw out, and then I've taken a guitar pick and modified it by cutting this little notch out. It helps me to get up underneath it and disconnect from the battery, just like that. Now that that's done, now I can go take these 3 screws out and take off the digitizer and the LCD. Alright, so phone rang, camera stops. Anyway, I disconnected the LCD and moved it aside. Now it's time to disconnect the digitizer. It's best if you can use fingers, like your fingernail, for things like this. Tools are kind of bulky and it's easier to damage the logic board. Your finger, you can kind of get a feel for it and know that you're in the right spot, and it's just safer. Things are so delicate in here. Alright, we got some double-sided tape that's holding it up. Oh, almost forgot. I also need to disconnect the ribbon for the home button. It's underneath this tape right here. Different one. Okay, so in the up position it comes out. Glass shards. Alright, so now we're fully disconnected except for the glue. There we go. Now some units, some digitizers that you buy are not going to have the home button and the home flex cable here. I like to order from mingtor.com out of California, and theirs comes, or the one I chose came with the system, the home button system all hooked up on it. So in this case, I will probably take this off and save it in case, you know, I get a screen or something later that doesn't have it, but I don't need it right now on this repair. Now I gotta get the glass out of here. Alright, now it's time to go around and get all the glue, all the leftover glass. All needs to be cleaned up really well. This one came up good. There's not a lot of adhesive. There's very little left over. There is some glass, so I'll start up here. Just get stuck. I'm going to go along cleaning, scraping and cleaning the glue that is left. There's not a lot of it, but you need to get it, because if there's a little glue ball, shape of a booger, it's going to keep your screen, the new one, from laying back down flat. And that's a mess. If something like that is the problem, you've got to take it all apart, take the new stuff off again, and do a good cleaning job. So it's best to do it now. See that little glass shard stuck in the glue? If I wouldn't have seen that, that would have been right there in the aluminum frame, and that glass would not have stayed. Lucky on this repair, in the corners, that they're just not all smashed up. A lot of times we get iPads in here with banged up corners, and we've got to straighten the corner out before we can put the new glass on, and that takes a hammer and chisel and a vise and a couple other tools. So today we don't have to do that. This one hasn't been dropped on its corners. It took a smash like right where the cables plug in on the side. If this is a repair that you don't want to attempt at home, or don't think that you can, or don't have the tools, you can always give us a call at Mobile Device Rescue. We'd be happy to do the repair for you. We do get quite a bit of our devices mailed to us from around the country. There are mail-in instructions on the website, mobiledevicerescue.com. Alright, when the phone rings, the camera stops. Alright, I've got the edges cleaned up. I've got that all looking good. I used some 91% alcohol, cleaned the glue a little bit better before I realized the camera had stopped. So now it's time to get out the new digitizer and get it put on. Cut. Alright, well, now it's time to put some red tape on it and get it ready for the new screen. This stuff is the best. People in the industry know how good this stuff is. It sticks really well. I've got some 2mm to go along these sides here, but I've got this thick stuff for these edges. That's about all the room I have for the bigger red tape. Let's use some of this 3M 2mm tape. It's also sticky. It's just thinner. Gets these long areas better. Oops, doubled up right there. I already put some red tape in that location. Alright. Now it's time to connect everything, do some testing. Use this to set my digitizer against. Got the digitizer out. I'm going to plug it in, do some testing. Got to make sure that these plugs are exactly lined up before you put any pressure. If you put pressure and you put a pin that's not lined up, you're going to bend that pin. And alright, when the phone rings, the camera dies. I am working on closing it up, getting ready to, pulling off the backing on some of this tape that I've added. I've only got one piece left. Alright, you got to make sure all the backing is off on the inside of the screen. Fingerprint protector. Alright, now it's ready to close up. It's already sticking where I don't want it to. Alright. I'm going to go around and make sure that it's flush all the way around. It's looking good. Do a test. Uh-oh. Okay, it just fell. I mean, to be careful, if you see that happen more than once, you may have a dead spot, but it looks like it just slipped. I'm all right. All right, everything looks good. Home button works. All right, so last thing to make sure it gets a good seal is to put these clamps on it. I like to use these. They really keep them from coming back for warranty work. Especially right now, the iPad's still a little bit warm from the heating table hot plate. So I'm going to get a good seal on this. Customer's coming back in about an hour. I'm going to put these about every 1.5 to 2 inches so that there's pressure all the way around on that glue. Alright, then I set it aside for a couple hours, and then that's going to have a really good seal on it. The customer would be happy. And that's how you do an iPad Air screen replacement. Thanks for watching.